this leadership moment for today. Get ready, get ready, get ready. So today and every day for the next 30 days, this is leadership moment number 7, will be leaders from various industries who went over comfort to courage in so many pieces of change and uncertainty. And today, the leaders of focus are 3: Paul, the nephew, and the commander. Paul, let me paint a picture in the story. Paul was up against so many people who were speaking ill will to his name because he was doing the work of telling people how to improve their lives, how to improve their stature, and people didn't like it. The people were Pharisees in the story. And the Pharisees had a plot to kill Paul because of the work that he was doing. So people started to talk about this plot that was happening. And one of the people who heard the plot was Paul's nephew. And Paul's nephew knew the character of Paul. Isn't that important when there are people who know your character and they hear something that somebody says and they're like, no, that don't sound like Paul, or that don't sound like you. It sounds like somebody completely different. And instead of going to the people to find out more, that person goes to the person they're talking about. We need people like that in our corner. Who are your nephews, like Paul's nephew, in the corner for you when there are people who are popping things off about you that's not true? Paul's nephew goes to tell Paul what is happening. And Paul is like, what? Can't believe this. Why don't you go to the commander? Because the commander has met me. The commander knows that I'm telling the truth in terms of what it is I am here to do in this work. And that commander has already heard me. Even though that commander doesn't know me, he's heard me before. So Paul's nephew goes to the commander and says this. And this is what I want us to be thinking about in terms of if we are ever in that same situation. He says, this is the nephew speaking. The Jews have decided to ask you to bring Paul down to their council meeting tomorrow. They want you to think that they are going to ask him more questions, but don't believe them. There are more than 40 men who are hiding and waiting to kill Paul. They have all made a promise not to eat or drink until they have killed him. Now they are waiting for you to agree. Nephew says this to the commander. And what does the commander do? Because sometimes if we're in the space of leadership, the thing that we may do is bring everybody in the room. We're talking to everybody, talking to them about, like, here's what I heard. What do you think? Here's what you said. What do you think? The commander did something else. And this is where there is courage over comfort. The commander sent the young men away. He said to them, don't tell anybody that you came in here to tell me about this plan. Then the commander called 2 officers and he said to them, I need some men to go to Caesarea, get 200 soldiers ready. Also get 70 horsemen and 200 men with spears. Be ready to leave at 9 o'clock tonight. Get some horses for Paul to ride. He must be taken to Governor Felix safely. And he wrote a letter that explained what had been happening for Paul to get out while everybody was asleep, to get into safety to talk to somebody else. Leadership moment number 3. There are people who are set up to take you out. But there are other people who are set up to be your advocate when you can't speak. So in terms of this leadership moment, we need more people like Paul who are focused on the work. We need more people like the nephews who they hear stuff about you and then they go to bat because they're like, no, this isn't your character. And they go to somebody else to aid you in your escape. And then you have the commander who does something completely different and gets you out of harm's way. Leadership moment for today, for this leadership moment, day 7 of 30. Who are you in this story? And how, if you have seen some Pauls, some nephews, some commanders in your life, how can you thank them now for aiding your character to continue to do your work? Or if you are those individuals, keep doing the work. And watch how so many people are going to be pulled to speak on your behalf because your character speaks louder than that. Let go and be great today. Be some leaders who change some situations because in your heart, you know that is right. Have a great day. We'll see you all definitely for the rest of this leadership series on purpose.